Hello, good evening. I am Momodu Gajaga and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. Thank you for joining us. And now here are the main local business and international news and also sports news stories. A notice from State House announces that following his inauguration on Wednesday, President Barrow has retained his immediate past cabinet pending the formation of a new cabinet. The Gambia Revenue Authority Thursday presented its 2020 financial and activity reports to the National Assembly's Finance and Public Accounts Committee for consideration. The Collecting Society of the Gambia in September 2021 held a forum to discuss the Society's plans and objective of the Society following the commissioning of a new board. We hear how NAWEC's water pipe leakages is affecting the free flow of water and causing problems for drivers, pedestrians and other road users in the Greater Banjul area. Also in business news, we will be looking at entrepreneurship as one of Gambia's women is getting into entrepreneurship. In international news, a study by the Stockholm-based International Peace Research Institute, CIPRI, says out of a total of still on international news, we will be looking into business news rather, international news. A study by Stockholm-based International Peace Research Institute, CIPRI, says out a total of 49 sub-Saharan African states, at least 20 out of a total of 49 sub-Saharan African states, I beg your pardon, at least 20 were involved in some armed conflict in 2020. And at least 29 people, including 11 children, are also and a pregnant woman, I beg your pardon, have died in a stampede at an open-air religious gathering in Liberia's capital, Monrovia. In sports news, in the biggest shock of the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations, reigning champions, Algeria, finished bottom and are out of the competition. Those were the main news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. A notice from State House announces that following his inauguration on Wednesday, President Adam Barrow has retained his immediate past cabinet pending the formation of a new cabinet. And that new cabinet will be sworn in on the 27th of January. Still in the news, the Gambia Revenue Authority on Thursday presented its 2020 financial and activity reports to the National Assembly's Finance and Public Accounts Committee. For consideration, the Audit Director marks the audited financial statement has been true and fair view of the financial position of the GRA and in accordance with law and accounting principles. Momodu Lamin Choi was there and he now reports.
The Gambia Revenue Authority appears before the National Assembly's Finance and Public Accounts Committee for legislative scrutiny. Facing the FPAC, chaired by the Assembly's Speaker, Mariam Jagdentin, is the GRA's management led by its Commissioner General, Yankuba Dabo. The reports for the Assembly's consideration are those for 2020, which came along with a COVID-19 pandemic that left many economies on the brink of collapse, leaving the GRA with challenges to address. Here's Lucifer Jan, the GRA's board chair.
I'd like to begin my statement by saying that one of the core mandates of GRA as a revenue collecting agency is to promptly assess, collect, and account for all revenues due to government in fair and transparent manner according to the revenue laws. However, this is a very complex matter under our cultural setting in that many see non-compliance towards tax obligation as normal.
Despite administering revenue collection measures amidst a pandemic, the GRA reports to the FPAC that it was able to meet its revenue target for 2020 with revenue of nearly $12 billion. This exceeds the annual target of $10 billion and marks a 17% growth from 2019. Yankuba Dabo, the GRA's Commissioner General, presents the activity report.
The performance of the authority during the year, despite the challenges of COVID-19, was boosted by the revision of the customs indicated value, strong performance of the oil receipts, and the intervention of government, NGOs, philanthropists, and private individuals to assist the population with basic food items, which helped maintain good import volume. In terms of domestic revenue, The main contributors has been domestic VAT and excise on the in the telecom service receipts.
For its operations, the Gambia's main revenue collecting body receives a subvention from central government, on which the financial statement being presented is based. The GRA Finance Director, Alhaji Sehu Dentin, presents the authority's audited financial statement.
In 2020, we received about almost 536 million, which is a growth of about 5% from the previous year. And we use those funds to carry out activities, and overall our expenditure was about 454 million. And to that extent, we ended the year with a surplus of 86 million. And this represents a growth of about 53% from the previous year.
The audited financial statement is marked as true and fair and in line with general accounting principles and law requirements. Augustus Pram Jr. is the audit director, whose signature is on the GRA audit report and reads out the audit opinion.
In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and a fair view of the financial position of the authority as at 31st of December 2020 and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with the generally accepted accounting principles and in line with the requirements of the GRA Act 2004, amended 2010.
The Gambia Revenue Authority, since its establishment in 2007, continues to register positive annual revenue growth, including in 2020. After the presentation of the reports, the Finance and Public Accounts Committee next will move for detailed consideration for decision on whether to approve or reject the reports. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
The Collecting Society of the Gambia, CSG, in September 2021 held a forum to discuss the society's plans and objective of the society following the commissioning of a new board. An important part of that discussion centered on the collection and distribution of royalties to Gambian artists. QTV's Yahya Jao went to find out, and here is the report.
The Collecting Society of the Gambia, CSG, was established by an Act of Parliament and inaugurated in 2013. The society is responsible for registering works, sensitizing Gambians on copyright issues, and adherence to international copyright treaties and conventions, as well as collecting and distributing royalties on behalf of Gambian artists. In an exclusive interview with QTV, Dr. Cherno Omar Bari, the society's president, says there is no established secretariat for the society to fully start performing its functions. He says it is the newly elected board members that are running the affairs of the CSG, and the board, he says, is committed to ensuring that the society realizes its dreams.
As I speak with you, what we have now is what we call a kind of a board, which is the society board. That is what is existing. The society board needs a secretariat. That the secretariat is the one that should be collecting the royalties. The board is supposed to help in the development of the policies, in the development of the strategies, in the development of the means, the internal regulations that would allow them to be able to collect effectively.
Being one of the most important functions of the collecting society, Dr. Barry says the collection and distribution of royalties has not started because of the unavailability of a secretariat and lack of financial resources. He, however, says that efforts are ongoing to remedy the situation.
The ideal situation would have been by now we start. There's one big challenge. And a secretariat needs money. And there is nowhere where we have money lying to establish the secretariat. Even with minimal function, we don't have it. So we have been negotiating, we've been discussing with the ministry, but you know, with all the elections going on, it wasn't very effective. So we had to really be patient and wait for the elections to finish. And now that they have finished, we've also had an opportunity to meet with the council.
Having established by an Act of Parliament, the Collecting Society needs government support for it to be fully operational. So I asked Dr. Barry whether government is responsive in supporting them.
Yes, I have to say really we have got the full cooperation of the Minister of Tourism and Culture. He's very willing to support and help. I understand, which is not directly with me, but I understand through the NCAC, he is willing to make commitments, financial commitments. What we need to do is concretize that. Unfortunately, by the time the Collecting Society really started the negotiations, budget negotiations have already started with government.
He also clarified the registration process of the CSG.
There is the registration of products. to the Copyright Bureau. That is for protection. And there is the registration of certain products to the CSG. That is for the benefit of collecting royalties for them.
Apart from the collecting and distribution of royalties and sensitizing of Gambians on copyright issues, the CSG president says promoting culture and cultural diversity in the country is a part of their functions.
This is about ensuring that we do not lose what we have, our identity. And you know, our identity is what we are. And we are a people with culture. We are a people who can only be identified by what we wear, by what we eat, by how we live, by the values that we need to uphold.
Lack of financial resources to establish a secretariat that will run the affairs of the CSG is at the top of the challenges they face, and are therefore calling on all to help support the realization of the society's objectives. Reporting for QTV News, I am Yahya Jao.
NAWEC's water pipe leakages are common in many parts of the Greater Banjul area and the West Coast region, affecting the free flow of water and causing problems for drivers, pedestrians and other road users. QTV's Ajibintu Drame visited some places that are notorious for water leakages, and this is our report.
Assessing the water pipe leakages, we visited Bakoteh Willingara, Kunkujang Bohol Junction, Sukuta Junction Bar and Bundung. We discovered that the water leakages are causing huge problems for residents, who told us that they have complained to NAWEC to solve the problem to no avail. The leaking water causes erosion and environmental pollution. Lamin Banja, a resident of Bakoteh Willingara, says they have endured this problem for 3 years.
We told NAWEC about it when they were constructing this road. We even told the contractors that there is a leaking water pipe here. The contractors said they have contacted NAWEC, but they did not come. So Lamin Kande, a resident, and myself called NAWEC's maintenance team. They came and checked it, but it is still the same. Sometimes, when the highway is filled with water, it flows into our shops when the vehicles are plying the road. We have to sweep the water away. This water passes across other areas too.
Malik Silla also echoed the same sentiments.
The water destroys the road. The work here is even a problem. Today is even better, but sometimes you find the place filled with water and there are compounds around. The stagnant water will be a breathing place for mosquitoes. If the rainy season comes, it will be worse.
At the Kunkujang Bohol Junction, we found that residents use stones and cement blocks to fill the road to stop the flow of water to other areas and create easy passage for vehicles. Mary Gomez, a resident of Kunkujang, pleads for government's intervention.
Those
boys help us with the road by filling it with rocks, and NAWEC should help us to get access to water in our homes. Unexpected, we bumped into Mohamed Baji, a plumber at NAWEC's Department of Water at Serekunda, repairing a leaking water pipe. He has this to say.
It is NAWEC's duty to fix the pipes correctly, but in some places, people dig on the road or throw heaps of garbage that burst the water pipes, and the cases are not reported. And that's the same water we drink, which is unhygienic. Some will also use axe and cut or split firewood on the road with underground pipes, which can cause pipes to burst. So it is a collective responsibility to address this issue.
Ibrahim Sekan, water distribution manager at NAWEC, says the issues of the leaking water pipes are acknowledged. He explains the factors responsible.
Some of the pipes, the roads are so badly eroded that we have our pipes constantly being exposed to traffic, and this causes a lot of complaints. And of course, there are also, sometimes some reasons, other reasons like pressure in some areas. Pressure in some areas causes burst pipes. And unfortunately, also, we have a network that is very old in some areas, and the laterals are very long. Have pipes that will go for 150 meters, being the standard in those days.
Mr. Sekan says solving such problems is part of NAWEC's challenges to be addressed this year. He urges the public to be patient. Ajipintu Drame, QTV News.
Well, that story is going to take us to a commercial break, and when we return, we'll still have some more stories for you. Stay tuned.
I am the light goddess. Everything I touch turns into light. I am the light at the end of the tunnel, and my technology is the answer. I am the happiness in your life. I keep you connected, and I am Q-Power. I am Q-Cell. I am Senior Boss. We innovate, others follow. Call 111 for more information.
The GRA, in executing its mandate of collecting revenue for national development in a fair and transparent manner, will recognize and award compliant taxpayers who consistently pay and file their taxes on time and present original and authentic customs documents at the annual Taxpayers Award ceremony. This year's edition of the Taxpayers Award ceremony will take place on Saturday, January 29, 2022 at the Keraba Beach Hotel, commencing at 7:30 p.m. The event will be graced by the President of the Republic of the Gambia, His Excellency Mr. Adama Barrow, the executive and members of the business community. The fourth edition of the GRA Taxpayer Award ceremony, a memorable night, is assured. GRA, collecting revenue for national development.
Welcome back, and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. Following a recent fire incident in Bakoteh, which consumed 4 apartment compounds, a Good Samaritan has donated clothes and other materials to the fire victims after seeing the report on QTV. QTV visited the fire victims in the aftermath of the incident, and here is an update by Ajibintu Drame.
The materials donated are clothes, bags, drapes and duvets, among other materials. The incident left the victims dejected and in shock after losing everything in the fire, including the children's learning material, which has temporarily stopped them from going to school. Aissatou Touré, one of the fire victims, shows gratitude for the gesture. We are very happy at receiving these donated materials because we lost everything in the fire. We are happy and we pray Allah rewards the person. Right now, we are staying at my co-wife's brother's house. Aissatou says relatives are helping, but it breaks her heart that the children cannot afford to go to school because all their learning materials and uniforms perished. We have been seeking help, as ever since the incident, the children have not gone to school. Their school bags and books all perished, but we thank God we are staying comfortably in this house. Khadijatu Sumare, a child to one of the victims, is in the 6th grade. She says she really wants to go to school.
When we started doing school,
Since the incident, we cannot go back to school. Our uniforms, bags and books are all gone. We have informed our teachers about it, and we have tests to do. I plead for help for my siblings and I to go back to school. According to the victims, an investigation by the fire service revealed the fire was caused by an electrical fault. The person who donated the materials after seeing the victims' plight on QTV asked to remain anonymous. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
Now, coming up next is business news. In business news, skills acquisition can lead to self-employment and financial independence. As more Gambian women venture into entrepreneurship, QTV visited women entrepreneurs in the fashion business to find out what inspired them to venture into such a sector. More in this report by Jibintu Drama.
What is being perceived as a male-dominated field is now becoming a norm for Gambian women to venture into. A combination of creativity, innovation, determination and passion have driven these women to aim higher. These women entrepreneurs are utilizing their tailoring and artisanal skills to promote African fashion and made-in-the-Gambia products, ranging from clothes, accessories, decorative materials, among other items, using local materials and African prints, also known as wax cloth, to produce their products. Senabu Gay, creative director and founder of African Swag Collection, Hadi Diba, founder of Dabs Design, and Ramatullah Mbai, CEO and creative director of Dignified, explained what inspired them to become entrepreneurs.
My inspiration came from the society. I mean, how they look up to people venturing into skills. I can say when I was young and going to school, I had passion for tailoring. My love for the African print, that is the wax or the Ankara, like they call it, and African art inspired me.
Inspiration came from being uncomfortable, because there was this day that I had to attend a program. It was not a formal program. It was an informal program. So having to dress up in a way that I was not so comfortable with gave me, like, that day was I got the certainty that I wanted to do something that would give me comfort.
Senabu Gai, creative director and founder of African Swag Collection, says she empowers young people by teaching skills to others. The infusion of the European and African prints or wax has become quite trendy, especially among women.
If I can make a dress out of wax, like let's say an evening wear, a banquet dress for you out of wax is something that you will like, and this makes you stand out. So here we are trying to fuse the Western to the African, and it's really working, and people are really adapting to this.
Taking risk and facing challenges comes with business, say these women entrepreneurs. Hadi Diba, founder of Dabs Design, and Ramatullah Mbai, CEO and creative director of Dignified, explain.
A few art enthusiasts would like admire your work, like when they come, oh wow, you're so creative and stuff like that. But not everybody is into this. So it might take a while for everybody to join that culture of this African thing, but we'll surely get there.
Being a woman sometimes is that you work with men, but then most of the time they don't want to take instructions. Yes. So they look at it as they don't like the superiority, when it's just you having your idea and working with people.
Ramatullah Mbai explains what she hopes to achieve in the next 5 years.
We want to scale more. We want to reach more people. We want to be in everyone's closet.
These women entrepreneurs advise young people, particularly women, to persevere and be consistent, passionate and determined in what they do, because these are among the traits that make a successful business. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
Well, now a look at international news. A study by Stockholm-based International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI, says out of a total of 49 sub-Saharan African states, at least 20 were involved in some armed conflict in 2020, which has placed them in the spotlight and under closer scrutiny. Loli M. Kamara has more.
The report examines the poor reputation of African armies and finds many African armies are often poorly trained, underfunded, under-equipped and ineffective. A recent study called Global Instances of Coups from 1950 to 2010 says there is a long history of coups and human rights violations by African armies. Since the mid-1950s, Africa has averaged 4 coups per year, although the number of attempted or successful coups has declined in the 10 years to 2010. Furthermore, armed men are blamed for military coups by political actors, as has happened in Mali, Guinea, and Sudan recently. A senior researcher at the Scotland-based International Peace Research Institute, Nan Tyne, reacting to claim of unprofessional behavior by African armies, told DW, and I quote, "This is, however, a false representation. In general, African militaries are not like this," adding, "One example is the Rwandan army, which has won international respect for its discipline and efficiency," quote ends. Matthias Basedow, director of the JICA Institute for African Affairs in Hamburg, said there is a perception that African armies are outsized and consume much of the state budgets. He said, I quote, "Both the relative number of personnel per inhabitants and the relative size of the budgets for the military are small in Africa in general," end of quote. Nan Tyne further added that countries like Nigeria, with a population of 150 million, has the biggest army in Sub-Sahara, with more than 200,000 enlisted personnel. However, Russia, with a population of 140 million, has an army of more than 1 million soldiers. There is also a perception that some civilian governments in Africa include the army in corrupt practices to keep them happy and stop them from staging coups. It seems clear African armies still need to do a lot to regain their reputation and trust. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Well, I'm afraid we've completely run out of time, and that's it for QTV News. Join us again at 10 for another bulletin. That's all we have for you in tonight's news edition. Thank you very much for watching. Join us again tomorrow for more news, and bye for now.